Detroit spent billions building highways while its population dropped from 1.8 million to 630,000. The Motor City designed itself around cars and then watched everyone drive away to the suburbs. The city covers 139 square miles, but only 36% is actually occupied. Suburban sprawl carved up neighborhoods with Interstate 75 and the Lodge Freeway, destroying Black Bottom and Paradise Valley. Entire communities vanished for commuter convenience. Over 140,000 people were displaced by highway construction alone. Property values collapsed. Tax revenue disappeared. The city spent decades maintaining infrastructure for a population that no longer existed. Water pipes, streetlights, and roads for ghost neighborhoods cost the remaining residents everything. Detroit's suburbs now hold more people than the city itself. Suburbs took the wealth while Detroit kept the problems. You literally cannot survive in Metro Detroit without a vehicle. Meanwhile, maintaining those empty neighborhoods costs Detroit $30 per resident compared to $11 in walkable cities. The city demolished 4,200 structures between 2014 and 2019 alone. That's 3 buildings per day disappearing while suburbs kept expanding outward. Cleveland lost 61% of its population between 1950 and 2020, dropping from 915,000 to 372,000 people. The suburbs absorbed everyone who could afford to leave. Surrounding towns flourished while Cleveland's core collapsed. Highway construction in the 1960s destroyed the Tremont and Glenville neighborhoods, cutting off Cleveland from Lake Erie. The Innerbelt Freeway created a physical barrier between downtown and residential areas. Public transit ridership dropped 74% between 1950 and 2000 as everyone bought cars and moved to sprawling suburbs. The RTA bus system now loses $50 million annually because density is too low to support efficient service. Cleveland spends 3 times more per capita on infrastructure than comparable European cities because services are spread across empty neighborhoods. The median home price downtown is $67,000, while suburban Rocky River averages $285,000. The wealth distribution speaks for itself. Suburban residents commute downtown for work, but pay property taxes to their wealthy suburbs. St. Louis population peaked at 856,000 in 1950 and crashed to 286,000 by 2020. That's a 67% decline while the suburbs exploded. Interstate 44 and 70 sliced through Mill Creek Valley, displacing 20,000 predominantly black residents in the late 1950s. The highway construction destroyed 465 acres of dense, walkable neighborhoods in a single decade. The city replaced communities with concrete. The county population exploded, leaving the city center empty. Property taxes in the city are double the suburban rates, so anyone who can afford to leaves. The city maintains 3,200 lane miles of streets for a fraction of its historic population. That infrastructure costs $240 million annually, while tax revenue keeps dropping. North St. Louis has entire neighborhoods of vacant lots. The suburbs built cul-de-sacs and shopping centers while the city dealt with abandonment. Public schools closed by the dozens, hospitals left, grocery stores disappeared. The average St. Louis household spends 22% of income on transportation, mostly car expenses. A trip to the grocery store means driving 3 miles minimum. The city has 7,500 vacant buildings and 12,000 vacant lots scattered across neighborhoods that once housed thriving businesses and families. Meanwhile, suburban St. Charles County added 100,000 residents since 1990, all of them completely car-dependent. Buffalo, population collapsed from 580,000 in 1950 to 278,000 today. The suburbs of Amherst and Tonawanda hold more residents than the city. Urban renewal demolished 40% of downtown buildings for parking lots between 1950 and 1980. The Kensington Expressway carved through Humboldt Parkway, destroying Frederick Law Olmsted's original park design and cutting a trench through the neighborhood. The highway cut off the east side from the rest of the city, creating permanent segregation. That single planning decision in 1958 still defines Buffalo's geography today. The city now has 17,000 vacant structures and 8,000 empty lots scattered throughout its neighborhoods. Buffalo maintains infrastructure built for twice its current population, while tax revenue disappeared with the residents. Buffalo's suburbs have lawns and quiet streets, but they also have zero walkability, complete car dependency, and social isolation. The city gave up density for sprawl and lost everything. Suburban developments like Lancaster and Orchard Park keep building new subdivisions while the city struggles with abandoned buildings. Atlanta might be the worst offender on this list. The metropolitan area sprawls across 8,376 square miles with just 700 people per square mile. That's less dense than rural Kentucky. The city has 6.1 million people spread so thin that public transit is mathematically impossible. MARTA serves only 400,000 daily riders because stations are too far apart to be useful. Most Atlanta suburbs refused to join MARTA in the 1970s, fearing it would bring undesirable elements. From the city, a sentiment largely driven by historical segregation. The result is 11 counties of pure car dependency where every trip requires a vehicle. Interstate 285 creates a loop that encourages endless expansion, costing billions in lost productivity. Expansion into distant counties like Cherokee and Forsyth forces longer commutes. Atlanta has more freeway lanes per capita than Los Angeles, yet traffic is still terrible. The city tried solving congestion by adding lanes and created induced demand instead. More roads just meant more sprawl and more traffic. Suburban residents in Alpharetta or Johns Creek spend 90 minutes daily commuting, burning through $6,200 yearly just on fuel costs. Edmonton, spread across 765 square kilometers with just 1.1 million people. That's 1,500 people per square kilometer, which is absurdly low for a major city. The city is so spread out that public transit loses 200 million Canadian dollars annually. The LRT system serves 100,000 daily riders, while 900,000 others drive because their suburban neighborhoods have no alternative. The West Edmonton Mall parking lot is larger than downtown Monaco. The city prioritizes car infrastructure so completely that neighborhoods like Summerside and Windermere are 40 kilometers from downtown with zero transit service. Winter temperatures hit minus 30 degrees Celsius, making car dependency even more punishing. The city spends $400 million yearly maintaining infrastructure for low-density sprawl while downtown struggles with vacant buildings. Property taxes are lower in the suburbs, encouraging more people to move further out. The cycle never ends. Edmonton keeps annexing land and building outward instead of upward. The average household spends $13,500 annually on vehicles because having 2 cars is mandatory. That's a mortgage payment going to transportation. Baltimore. Population dropped from 950,000 in 1950 to 585,000 today, while the suburbs doubled. Howard County and Baltimore County absorbed everyone fleeing the city. Highway construction destroyed 1,000 homes in West Baltimore for Interstate 70, a project that was later canceled, leaving scars with no benefit. The city demolished entire neighborhoods for roads that never got built. Franklin-Mulberry Expressway cut through predominantly black communities, displacing thousands more. Baltimore now maintains infrastructure for its 1950 population with half the tax base. The city has 16,000 vacant buildings rotting throughout East and West Baltimore. Suburban residents work downtown but live in Towson, Columbia, or Ellicott City, taking their tax dollars with them. The average city household pays $3,200 yearly in property taxes, while suburban households pay $2,100 for better services and schools. The MTA bus system serves 260,000 daily riders, but suburban commuters mostly drive. The average Baltimore resident spends 23% of income on transportation, compared to 15% in walkable cities like Philadelphia or Boston. The median household income in Baltimore City is $54,000, while Howard County averages $120,000. The wealth fled to car-dependent suburbs, while the city kept the problems. Pittsburgh's suburban sprawl fights against topography and loses. The city sits at 3 rivers with serious hills, making highway construction insanely expensive. Yet they built them anyway. Interstate 376 runs right along the rivers, cutting downtown off from the waterfront that should be its biggest asset. The city demolished entire neighborhoods in the Hill District for the Civic Arena, displacing 8,000 predominantly black residents in 1955. That community never recovered from the destruction. Pittsburgh's population crashed from 677,000 in 1950 to 302,000 today, while suburbs like Cranberry Township and Moon Township exploded with McMansions and strip malls. Maintaining oversized infrastructure costs millions annually. Public transit ridership dropped 70% since 1970 as everyone moved to car-dependent suburbs. The average suburban household spends $11,200 yearly on vehicles because Port Authority buses don't reach most suburban neighborhoods. The city hollowed out while suburbs sprawled across 3 counties. Allegheny County now has 1.2 million residents, but only 302,000 live in the actual city. The rest are scattered across car-dependent suburbs that require massive infrastructure investments. If you recognize any of these patterns in your own city, drop a comment. Subscribe for more content exposing how bad planning ruins cities.